After facing the fire for a number of years over safety concerns, Uber has now released a report outdating the number of sexual assaults that have taken place over the last couple of years during its rides. It says it's doing so to try and combat the problem. Stepping into the back of an Uber ride for many women isn't as easy as a convenient trip from A to B. It's concerning, sometimes fearful, and the number of sexual assaults reported only confirms the reasons for feeling that way.
We have to understand what's happening on the platform. We've got to count it. If you don't count it, then you can't confront it. If you don't confront it, you can't end it.
The ride-hailing company conducted its own study on the number of sexual assaults over the last 2 years to what it says is offer accountability and improve safety for Uber and the entire industry. In 2018, Uber reports 235 reports of rape, 80 of attempted rape, more than 1,500 groping cases, and 970 reports involving unwanted kissing, a total of nearly 3,000 cases in the U.S. alone.
Sexual violence requires a concerted effort to have uncomfortable conversations about what it is, how it manifests itself, in order for us to come up with solutions.
Uber has been met with a number of hurdles in cities across the world over safety standards and regulations, to the point that Toronto has new rules taking effect in January that require proper driver training and licenses. What more can the city do to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen with these services?
We are strict with respect to driver screening. We have close relationships with the MTO. We have close relationships with the police, and we share information such that we can remove someone from a platform if criminal activity does take place.
During 2018, Uber operated roughly 1.3 billion rides in the U.S. and points out the vast majority, 99.9%, didn't have any reported safety issues. Of course, any incident is one too many, and experts say it's a reflection of the greater problem.
Assuming that the numbers are correct, then I'm not surprised, and in fact would have expected them to be higher, because we know sexual violence is growing in the society, in the domestic realm, but that carries over into the public realm.
Now, City News has spoken with the lawyer of a woman who is actually suing Uber for $5 million, claiming that she was sexually assaulted during a ride last summer. He says these numbers aren't surprising. They only back up some of the research that they have done preparing for the court case. An alarming new report from Uber is outlining the number of sexual assault cases that have taken place on its rides over the last couple of years. In 2017 and 2018, over the course of those 2 years, a reported 6,000 incidents took place, but the company is saying it's trying to use the data to make things better. The lawyer for one woman who became the first to sue Uber Canada just months ago after she alleges she was assaulted in the back of her rideshare says the Canadian system needs far more oversight.
You've got to have better screening measures in place. I mean, I think you start with that. There are other things that could be done. Taxi cabs, for example, in Toronto, many of the taxi cab companies have cameras in the vehicle. So there are things like that. You could have microphones, cameras, those sorts of things in the vehicle.
The company has also taken initiative to address the situation. Earlier this year, Uber Canada partnered with the YWCA and No More to prevent gender-based violence. And the CEO says she herself is hopeful that similar numbers for Canada will be released in the near future. What are the types of things that can be done to make these ride-sharing services safer?
Tracking is everything, so the data is key. So having now a clear number, I think producing a report in Canada is really important. For example, for racialized women, for LGBTQ and or Indigenous women, it's actually so much more dangerous for them. So doing training around bystander intervention, getting people to intervene, training for drivers, having a clear app that women can actually access 911 services right away, all of those things can actually start to make things a little bit better.
Now, something of interest to those using the ride-sharing service is that it's not always the drivers that are being accused in these cases. In fact, the company says 45% of the time it's the riders that are actually being accused.